Hey everybody, welcome to the Pillow Fort. I'm glad you're here today, and we've been thinking a lot about baseball lately, and I know you've been hearing that from some of the other lessons this month. And one thing I was thinking about with baseball is when it's so fun to go to a game in person, and you can sit there and you can just relax because you know kind of how it's going to go. Like there are certain rules, there's certain things that happen every time. There's always, you have the innings as your rhythm. There's one pitcher and one batter at a time, and when the batter hits a good hit, he's trying to get to that first base and then second base and then third, and sometimes he might hit a home run, and when he hits that, you can just go crazy because you know he's going all the way home. And it really is so fun, and it's so relaxing to watch. But if you've got all your hope in winning that game, even if all the rules go just right, and even if you hit a home run, you really don't know how the outcome is going to be. You do not know if you're going to win or not. And so that's part of the fun of it being a game, because there's that mystery. But with our faith, we do not want to have it where we don't know, or we feel like we have to add more rules or keep things perfectly to be saved. And that's what our Bible study is about today. The Bible lesson today comes from Galatians 1-3. During his second missionary journey, Paul started several churches in an area called Galatia. Later, Paul wrote a letter to these churches because they were facing a big problem. The Galatian Christians had believed the gospel Paul had preached to them, but false teachers had come preaching a different message, and the Galatians started to believe those lies. The false teachers taught that to be saved, a person needed more faith, more than just faith in Jesus. They said you had to obey the law of Moses too. The believers in Galatia were confused. These new teachers seemed trustworthy, so what was right? Paul wrote them a letter to stop their confusion. Paul told the believers he was amazed that they turned away from God so quickly. False teachers gave them a different message and they accepted it. But that message was not the gospel. Paul said that God will punish anyone who comes preaching a different message than the gospel he gave us through his son Jesus. Paul reminded the Galatians of what God had done for him. Before Paul met Jesus, Paul persecuted believers. Jesus appeared to Paul and called him to preach the gospel to the Gentiles. Jesus changed Paul, and Paul dedicated his life to serving Jesus. Paul knew the gospel. Jesus came into the world to save sinners. This is good news for Jews and Gentiles, and Jesus is all they need. Paul told the Galatians they were foolish. He urged them to think. Did they receive the Holy Spirit because they obeyed the laws? No. Did they receive the Holy Spirit because they heard the gospel and believed by faith? Yes. Paul wanted to make this clear. Every believer becomes a Christian by faith in Jesus. Every believer continues as a Christian by faith. No matter what any person says otherwise, no one can be saved by the law.
See you next time on the amazing adventures of the Pillow Fort Kids!